Are we going? Are we going? It looks like we're going. I'm gonna see if this works. I think the noise cancellation is still on, but I reduced it a lot. All right. Hey, good morning, and welcome to yet another season of Redstone Lapis Lazuli. Hello, good morning. Yes. Here, let me hop over to here now. Ba ba ba. New world. Who's this? Yeah, this is a brand new world. I wandered like thousands of blocks from my spawn, from world spawn. Um, and I don't know. I found a swamp, and I walked around the swamp looking for a witch's hut, and I couldn't find one. It's over there. And instead, I found this village, and I'm like, I'm gonna move in and live in this village. Um, yeah, and so up there is a house, but it's abandoned, and it's up there, so I don't want to go up there. Instead, I took over this guy's workshop. I didn't take it over. Dude still got his place here. But I just made room for me to like sleep in, so I wouldn't die at night. Yeah. Hey, welcome to this. Yeah. And then I started a new mine. This is like brand new, right? Brand new world, brand new. Um, but you know why? Because it seems like we don't really go anywhere. Isn't that funny? Uh, like we had a mass shooting at a Walmart in Virginia, and then we had a mass shooting, a hate crime in Colorado Springs at a gay nightclub. But it wasn't. It was it was aimed at the gay people and the trans people. So it was like a hate crime aimed at them. So like, and how did it happen? Through firearms. Jeez Louise, it's like we haven't learned anything. It's either we haven't learned anything, or there's a particular group of people who know what's going on and they want to continue it to continue to go this way. So, but before I get too far up out of that gate and go astray, let's recap how we came to that. No, let's talk about how we got to this point. Um, Now, what was the hate crime? The hate crime was directed at gay and transsexual people and like non-binary people and non-heterosexual people. How about that? The hate crime because and why? Because it's that hate crime, that violence is an expression of patriarchy, systemic. It's not people want to say, oh, that guy's just crazy, but when several guys over the course of many years are crazy in the same way, they stop being crazy and it starts becoming it starts pointing to a systemic issue. It's systemic. It's a systemic issue. So get some copper. Why not get some copper? It's a systemic issue. So the first thing is we have to so we know that all these people are going, all these white supremacists are like killing people because I don't know, because they don't like other people being something that they don't like. It doesn't directly affect them, but they believe it does because the media tells them it does, but it doesn't actually. And not all the media does, but only certain media tells them that why am I carrying a boat? Certain media tells them that they're somehow being affected by these other people, even though they're not. There's no evidence of it. There's nothing there. They can't point to anything, but they believe it to be true, and so they believe it to be such a dangerous thing to them that they act out in violence, in real world violence. They take their imagination and they become violent against other real people with it. So but it helps, right? It'll help if we all are working from the same page. And that's my goal, right? I mean, that's one of my goals, I think, is to make sure that we're all working from the same playbook. We're all Americans here, right? We all want the same thing. We all want freedom and liberty for everyone, and we all want our own freedom and liberty preserved. So so that's the deal, right? That's our contract. That's our contract. If you preserve my liberty and freedom, I'll preserve your liberty and freedom. Okay, now let's get down to so as long as we're on the same page here, and then we also recognize that human rights are a real thing. There are such things as human rights that go even beyond the Constitution. Even beyond the Constitution, there are things called human rights that just because the Constitution may not recognize them doesn't mean they're not there. So the Constitution is not the end-all be-all of rights. There are human rights that go beyond what the Constitution stipulates. Because the Constitution is only a document written by white landowning aristocracy in the 1700s. It's not the end-all be-all of consciousness. Like, they couldn't even have, they had no idea of what we're going through right now. They could not possess the consciousness that we have. They didn't have the requisite, like, history. Like, you couldn't have this kind of consciousness unless everything happened before it. So I want to go back and make sure that we're working on the same playbook, because these people are acting crazy. Those right-wing fascists are acting crazy because they have messed up the idea and the definition of gender. They have no idea what they're talking about, and they're acting out violently because of their not either not understanding or their malice. Before I go to malice, I want to make sure that I can rule out misunderstanding. So I totally forgot about it, and now I've like somehow remembered it this morning. There's an entire field of sociology called symbolic interactionism. And man, this field is great. Symbolic interactionism. So let's break this down. I stole a clip somewhere. I just stole bits of stuff. Dude, what is this? I wanted to grab something before it. To really, oh, no, I don't even have it anymore. But like a smart guy, I saved the link this time. Do. There it is. Yeah. Oh no. Come on. Like this. Do. Oh no, I can't get it anymore. Where'd it go? Oh, here. That's what I want. Okay. Let me. This guy says it the best way of doing it. All right, this guy who I'm stealing from is Mr. David A. Palmer. He's an anthropologist. Anthropology. So, oh great, you can see it over there. Okay, so what is symbolic understanding? Involves the use of stories, narratives that use symbols to connect the elements of the world. The sociologist Robert Bellah defines a symbol as follows. It is always possible. It is always possible that an object, a person, or an event in the world of the daily life may have a meaning in another reality. that transcends the world of the working? If so, we call it a symbol. Mythology is the best example of a symbolic understanding. This modality can be illustrated by films. Each film is full of symbols and follows a mythological structure. Okay. One of the defining aspects of being a human being, is the fact that we can use language and symbols. Uh, we talked earlier about imagining. We imagine other worlds and create other worlds through our imagination. The key instrument of our imagination are symbols. We are capable of imagining without symbols, but with symbols, we can put many objects of consciousness together to create an entirely imaginary world. This is a faculty that seems unique to human beings. I want to save that. All right, this right here, this game right here, this game right here, right here, this game here, this game is full of symbols. Everything is a symbol. The whole thing's a symbol. I mean, yeah, you have like the world chunked down to 1 meter by 1 meter cubes that symbolize a block of matter. And you have like symbols. These are all symbols. And yeah, you affix a label to them. But what's that label? More symbols. But with our brain and our imagination, we're able to associate our experience of bones with the symbol of bones and with the picture of bones. And like, it's through the power of our imagination that we're able to do this. And animals aren't able to do this, at least not very well, not to the extent that humans can. So symbols are super, 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 super powerful parts of consciousness, because they call forth the experiences of the real thing. So symbols are great because, again, they call forth the experiences of real things. But what is a symbol? First, okay, a symbol is a stable image or word that we can affix to objects of consciousness. Various visions and feelings constantly come and go in our minds, but by linking them to specific words or images, we stabilize them. So in your brain's constantly flexing and flowing, but if you have a symbol, your consciousness goes and produces in your brain and in your mind this object. Purely in your brain, purely by looking at the symbol, it focuses your brain that would normally just be fluttering about. It focuses your consciousness. Okay. I feel a certain heat with my body. I see certain colors and movements with my eyes, and I associate these perceptions with the sound fire or the pictogram of fire. Now, my specific perceptions have been attached through the word fire to a general concept. Specific perceptions attached to a general idea. Specific perceptions attached to a general concept. That's the idea. Specific perceptions attached to a general concept. This links my perceptions to all past and future instances of fire, to past memories of fire, and also to many other things that are not immediately identical. For example, the word fire is conventionally accepted sign of a material fire. Meanwhile, it is also a symbol for notions such as light, warmth, truth, love, hell, etc. A symbol is a sign that the meaning of which is extended to something other than what it immediately refers to. So you can use a symbol to stretch to and reach other things other than the immediate thing it was originally intended for. But the way a symbol works is that you take specific perceptions and you attach it to a general concept. That's where it gets tricky. You take specific concept or specific perceptions and you attach it to a general concept. That's where things get tricky. Because if people have different specific perceptions and they attach it to a concept that is general, now everyone's got this general concept, but they have different different perceptions attached to it. That's where it gets tricky. Okay, so where am I going with all of this? Hold on. Before I go even farther, let me do one more talk about symbolic interactionism. So yeah, I was telling you that then it starts getting tricky. Okay, so symbolic interactionism is a sociological theory that develops from practical considerations and alludes to particular effects of communication and interaction in people to make images and normal implications for deduction and correspondence with others. According to Massionis, I don't know, may say that wrong. Symbolic interactionism is a framework for building theory that sees society as the product of everyday interactions of individuals. Society emerges from the individual material interactions of individuals. In other words, it is a frame of reference to better understand how individuals interact. Frame of reference. With one another. It's a frame of reference to better understand how individuals interact with one another to create symbolic worlds, and in return, how these worlds shape individual behaviors. It is a framework that helps us to understand how society is preserved and created through repeated interactions between individuals. The interpretation process that occurs between interactions helps create and recreate meaning. It is the shared understanding and interpretations of meaning that affect the interaction between individuals. So if individuals here, let me I want to write this or scratch up this thing. Oh, it disappeared. Shit. Here, hold on. I want to scratch it up. Scratch it up. Go, dude, get it. What's wrong? Oh, it's right there. Oh, what's happening? Now it's opening like 7. Come on. All right, there we go. Close you. Go back to you. Okay. So, how society is preserved and created through repeated interactions between individuals. The interpretation process that occurs between interactions helps create and recreate. Oh, damn it, dude, I'm totally screwing this up. The interpretation process helps create and recreate meaning. It's the shared understanding and interpretations of meaning that affect the interactions between individuals. Individuals act on the premise of a shared understanding of meaning within their social context. Thus, interaction and behavior is framed through shared meaning that objects and concepts have attached to them. From this view, people live in both natural and symbolic environments at the same time. You don't live just in the matrix. of symbols, you also live them in the real world at the same time. So symbolic interactionism. Yeah, overwrite that. Yes. Okay. I said all of that. I said all of that to say this. What's the next thing? Have you ever seen that movie The Matrix? Uh you know that scene of the movie with the kid? Yeah, okay. I need to make it small enough and like off to the side. All right. So remember, Neo's in the Matrix right now. So when I say the Matrix, what I'm referring to is the world of symbols. That's where he lives. That's where he is right now. People forget that the world of symbols is not real. They forget that the world of symbols only refers to real things. But it itself, the world of symbols itself is not real. But people forget it. People forget all the time. They forget that symbols aren't real and they mistake the symbol for the object. All the time. All the time. So watch. So this kid picked up a spoon, but they're in the Matrix, dude. Nothing there is real. Nothing is real there. Nothing. But if you're watching the movie and you forget that he jacked into a computer simulation, then you don't even know. You will forget that he's looking at symbols. You forget it. So watch. So remember, guys, remember. I like how the spoon reflects him. You see how that spoon reflects him? Remember, that spoon isn't there. It's not actually, there's no spoon. That's all symbols. He's not, like, his consciousness is there, but nothing there is actually physically real. Nothing. Remember that whole thing? Do you think that's air you're breathing? Like, you remember, nothing here is real. So you're looking at the spoon being bent, but really, you have to remember that it's not there. They're in the Matrix. So that spoon is not actually a spoon, it's a bunch of symbols in the Matrix. It's a bunch of symbols in the Matrix. That's all it is. I like how that spoon reflects Neo. Watch how the spoon reflects Neo. He's gonna take the idea. He takes the idea. Now he's holding an idea, right? He's looking at it, but that thing isn't actually there. It's a bunch of symbols. It's just symbols. They're just symbols. They're not real. It's just a symbol. It's just symbols. But he's grappling with this idea now. It's not a real thing. It's a bunch of ideas. He's grappling. He's exploring an idea. He's exploring an idea because none of that's real.
Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible.
Okay, why is it impossible to try and bend the spoon? Why? Remember, they're in the Matrix. That spoon isn't actually there. And if you had a real spoon, it would be impossible to bend the spoon with your mind. Here, this thing's really here. Let me try to bend it. Can't do it. Can't do it. Nope, not bending. Can't do it. That's impossible. You can't change actual real things with your mind. You can't do it. Actual real things require actual real physical labor for anything to happen. So you can't do it just with your mind. Actual real things. But remember, he's not holding an actual real thing. What's he holding? He's holding an idea. He's holding an idea. So wait a minute. Then fine. If I can't bend this thing, which is an actual real thing, with my mind, maybe I can bend the idea with my mind. Well, how do you bend an idea? What is the definition of bending? It's deforming something from its original shape. But an idea doesn't have a shape. It has no material being. It's like a symbol, right? You can't bend a symbol. I mean, you can bend a symbol, but it means nothing. It means nothing to bend a symbol. I can take the word spoon and bend it, but it does. But the idea of spoon is never bent. The idea of spoon is never bent. You can't bend an idea. You can't do it. That's impossible. You can't bend an idea. Instead, only realize the truth that there is no spoon. that the thing that you're holding is not actually a thing, it's a symbol of the idea. And when you understand that you're holding a symbol and not the actual thing, that's the truth.
Instead, only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
Right? There's no spoon. He's not actually holding a spoon. It's just a bunch of symbols because they're in the matrix. You can't actually bend an idea because it's not there. There is no thing. You can change spoon out for anything. While they're in any symbol, because while they're in the matrix, everything is literally just symbols. Nothing's really there. So there is no spoon. He's not actually holding a spoon. It's just a bunch of symbols.
There is no spoon?
Yes, there is no spoon. It's not actually, that's just a symbol. He's just holding he's not even holding it, right? Because he's not actually there. That's his mind regarding a concept, a bunch of symbols. That's his mind regarding a bunch of symbols.
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends, it is only yourself.
It's not the spoon. The idea does not bend. It is only Neo, right? It's a bunch of symbols. You can't bend symbols. You can't bend an idea. Ideas don't bend. But ideas, like, also can't be expressed without a human. So, in order so what comes out of the human is just an expression of the idea. So when you bend the spoon, you're not bending the spoon, you're bending the expression of the idea. And that means if you're bending the expression of the idea, because it's just a symbol, right? It's not actually a spoon. It's not actually there. The only way it comes into existence is if the human makes it real. So in order for the spoon to bend, but you can't bend it because it's not actually there, in order for the spoon to actually be there, the human has to express it. So the only way to bend the spoon is for the human to express it in a bent way. So does the spoon bend, or does the human who expresses it bend? They bend their idea. They bend their perception of the spoon in order to create it. Do you see what I mean? So let me put it in better concepts. What Neo is holding is the idea of gender. The idea of gender. What is gender? What is gender? Let's look at that. Gender. Where'd it go? That's the wrong one. It's the wrong one. It's over here now. What is so gender? Gender. So, gender is the range of characteristics pertaining to range of characteristics. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. There's nothing you can hold on to that says gender. There's no object. You can't go mining in the earth and dig up an ore of gender and be like, I got gender, pure gender. I can smelt this down into pure gender and shape it any way I want to make gender. No, you can't do it. Nope. No such thing. You cannot grab it. You cannot hold gender. It's impossible. You can't do it. You can't hold gender. Nope. Nowhere can you hold gender. You can grab it, or you can't grab it. You can express it. You can express it, but you can't um you can't control it. You can't hold it because it's just an idea. It's a range of characteristics. That's all it is. It's a range of characteristics. A range of characteristics. You can't point to one characteristic and say that's gender. That's just one aspect. Just an aspect of the idea of gender. Gender is an idea. You can't touch it. You can't grab it. So what Neo here, what he's doing is his mind is grappling with the idea of gender. He's grappling with the idea of gender. So what's happening? I like how his head turned to the side and the spoon to the side. Okay. If that's gender, if that's gender and that's just an idea and it's bending, who's really bending? What's really bending? If that's not really there, that spoon's not really there. If you can't bend an idea, what can you change? Only the expression of the idea. So all Neo's doing is changing his expression of the spoon.
The oracle was.
All right. He's changing the expression of the spoon. Let's go back to this. Do not try to bend the spoon. That is impossible. Do not try to bend the idea. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth. There is no object. So the object that Neo was bending was gender. The expression of a bent gender is like what? For him, it would be wearing a dress. A dress is a character, is a symbol. A dress is just a symbol of gender. It's not actually gender. Because gender is not an object. You can't grab and touch gender. If you want to bend gender, you have to bend yourself, your expression of it. So Neo to bend gender would wear a dress. Because it would go, is the idea of gender bent? No. Just Neo's expression of it. In other words, there is no gender. There's no gender. You can't grab it. It's not there. There's no right way of doing it. There's no pure absolute thing you can point to say that is the thing, that is it. No, there's no such thing. There's no such thing. All it is just expressions. That's the only thing they are, just expressions. That's the only thing you can bend, are expressions. You can't hurt the idea. The idea is not even here to be hurt. So let me give you another example, another way of putting it. So we have this, okay, so now wait, what happens to people? What happens is people confuse all the time I shouldn't stand outside. I'm going to get killed by zombies. What happens all the time is that people confuse the symbols, or they confuse the idea for the symbols, and they believe that the symbols are the idea, and that so that means we have two different frames of reference. And if you have two different frames of reference, then it's hard to communicate with one another. So that's called reification. Reification. Reification literally means making into a thing. You make into a thing. It's the process by which social relations are perceived as inherent attributes of the people involved in them, or attributes of some product of the relation, such as a traded commodity. This implies that objects are transformed into subjects and subjects are turned into objects, with the result that subjects are rendered passive or determined, while objects are rendered as active, determining factor. So here's what I mean for the dress, for gender. Gender is a human expression objectively, gender is a set of human expressions that result from human interaction. So humans interact and gender emerges. It's a set of behaviors. It's not a thing. It's just a set of behaviors. It's an idea. But if you reify the idea of gender, if you ossify it, if you fossilize it, if you make it solid and unchanging and immutable, then you've turned it into a real thing. And you made it determining, and you made it like you've made it like the thing that everyone must conform to. No longer is gender a set of relationships that are happening, or a set of interactions between humans. Now gender is this set of rules imposed by the social order, with violence, imposed with violence. So you take this idea and you turn it into an object, and you pretend, oh, this is a real thing, and you can't violate it. You can't bend it. You can't change it. You can't do anything to it. It is stuck forever this way. So that means the humans that would normally be the source of gender expressions are now objects through which society remakes the patriarchy, their ossified gender norms. They reify it. They forget. In other words, they forget that the spoon is just a bunch of ideas, and they think it's real. They're trapped in the matrix, because the matrix is all about control. And I don't know if that made that was pretty heavy. I don't know if that made any sense. Okay, let me show you another example of a person who's trapped in the matrix, who's unable to distinguish between symbols and the real world. He's lost the distinction between the two.
Sorry.
It's okay.
All right, so in this scene, Cypher is looking at the a bunch of computer screens, and Neo walks in behind him. So we're looking at it from Neo's perspective, not from Cypher's perspective. We're looking at it from what Neo sees, and I'll show you why I know that we're looking at it from what Neo sees. Okay.
Is that
The Matrix? Yeah.
Okay. Oh, shit.
sorry?
It's okay.
Is that
The Matrix?
Yeah, that's the Matrix. What is it? The Matrix from Neo's perspective are a bunch of symbols. What is gender? Gender is an idea that's expressed through a bunch of symbols, like a dress or pants. I don't know. The symbols of gender. All they are a bunch of symbols. But people forget that the symbols aren't real. They forget that they're just expressions of an idea. And then they begin to think that the symbols are immutable and you can't violate the symbols. Or you...
Do you always look at it encoded?
Do you always look at it encoded? Do you always look at it encoded?
Well, you have to. The image translators work for the construct program.
Well, you have to. So in a society has already written the symbols. You have to look at the things encoded because it's already made. The symbols are already written. It's already done. When you're born, you are taught to understand what all those symbols mean. Consciously or unconsciously, you're taught what symbols mean. Like, you have no choice. Automatically, that's what it's done to you.
But there's way too much information to decode the Matrix.
There becomes so much information, so many symbols surround you that it becomes overwhelming.
You get used to it. I don't even see the code.
See, it gets so overwhelming and you're socialized into it so that you never know any different, that you begin to like reify the code. You reify the symbols. That you get to a point where you don't even see the symbols. You just immediately associate symbol with the feelings because the association is so strong that you don't even see the symbols anymore. It just goes right to the feeling. Right to the feeling.
All I see is blonde, brunette, redhead.
What? That's your key. That's how come we know that we're looking at it from Neo's perspective and not from Cypher's perspective. Because Neo does not see blonde, brunette, redhead. Neo sees a bunch of matrix code. But Cypher, who's been in like steeped in the matrix for so long, he's unable to distinguish between the symbol and the actual thing. He can't see it anymore. He can't see the distinction. So he confuses the two. So he doesn't even see the matrix code. All he sees is blonde, brunette, redhead. What is blonde, brunette, redhead? Those are markers, gender markers. Gender markers. So I can imagine that what Neo sees are a bunch of symbols, but what Cypher sees are a bunch of pinup models. That's what he's looking at, pinup models. A blonde, brunette, redhead pinup model. So the symbols he's looking at, blonde, probably there's a symbol on there that says big boobs, probably a symbol on there that says like nice skin, probably a symbol on there that says provocative pose, probably a symbol on there that says like genitalia exposed, like probably a symbol on there saying like come hither expression on her face, like all sorts of symbols, right? A bunch of symbols in order like created in order to evoke sexual feelings in the perceiver. But if you break it down, there's not a woman in there. It's supposed to symbolize a woman, but that's not a woman. That's airbrushed, posed, lighted, configured a certain way. It's totally unrealistic. It's not possible to recreate that woman. You cannot do it. It's not real. It's not real. It's a bunch of symbols. But those symbols evoke, or can evoke, feelings from males who totally have forgotten that that there's not a woman in there. It's just a bunch of symbols that evoke biological responses and psychological responses from the individual. So it's not actually real, but it's a way of controlling people. I can evoke feelings out of you. And then what happens is actual real women see what happens. They see that men are easily manipulated by certain symbols. So what do the women do? They adopt those symbols. So now you can't even see the woman. It's all about the symbol. You've forgotten the woman. You've forgotten the real thing. You've forgotten the actual thing. Now it's all about the expression. Oh, shit. Control, the matrix. So Cypher here, he is so deep into it. He is so deep, he can't even see the woman. He can't even see how he's being controlled. All he sees are the code, and he's happy with it. He doesn't need the real thing. He just needs the symbols. So that was, yeah. But Neo recognizes that, dude, you're not looking at blonde, brunette, redhead. You're looking at a bunch of symbols. But you've reified those symbols. Cypher has reified those symbols. He's associated the symbols so strongly with his perceptions that he can't see the distinction anymore. That's why he's able to look at code and get biological responses. And then now, like actual flesh and blood women who are trying to get the attention of the man recognize that, well, what gets the attention of the man are these symbols. So I should pile myself with these symbols too. And women will disfigure themselves in order to carry these symbols for men, because under patriarchy, men have the power. That's why you want to destroy patriarchy. But to destroy patriarchy, you have to destroy white supremacy and and well, capitalism, and white supremacy, capitalism, patriarchy, like transphobia, all of that, and all of that is held up by violence. And all of what happened, like, geez, like really, it was at a standstill. The colonists came to America, but they couldn't get much past the Appalachian Mountains because their muskets were no match for bows and arrows of the natives. Natives were skilled with their bows and arrows, and muskets didn't require as much skill to use, but they were way inferior to a skilled bow and arrow person. So yeah, it wasn't until the colonists got rifles that they could advance past the Appalachian Mountains. Because yeah, rifles, then you have way more range and accuracy, and no training. You don't need any training to do it. Whereas to get good with the bow and arrow, it takes a lot of work and skill. So it's easy to mass produce rifles. It's not easy to mass produce archers. Anyways, so right now we have this white supremacy, patriarchy, that wants to maintain control through violence. It uses violence to do so. And people who succumb to it have succumbed to it because they have mistaken the symbol for the real thing. They believe the spoon is real. They're all, that spoon is real. You can't bend it. It's real. And if you try to bend it, I'll kill you. They don't understand that the spoon is just a bunch of symbols, that it's not actually there. They think it's real. And because they think it's real, and if they see you bending it, they will try to kill you. They will try to kill you instead of trying to bend it for themselves. Because they've reified the idea of spoon. They've reified the idea of gender. They think gender is a real thing, just like the spoon is a real thing. When really, the spoon is just a bunch of symbols. When really, gender is just a bunch of symbols. The dress is not gender. The dress is just an expression of gender. The dress is an object that can be worn by anybody. But if you have reified the idea of gender, if you believe that gender is a real and involatile thing, and you see someone wear a dress that you don't think should wear a dress that defies your idea of gender, you will react violently to reassert control of your reified version of gender. If you're not free, you become an agent of the matrix, an agent of control. You lose control of your body and you give it over to an agent of social control. Okay, what am I doing here? What else do I have going? So you have to understand, like, when you look at the matrix, it's not an actual physical thing. It's the world of symbols, and today in our more so than in the past, with the advent of television, society was able to transmit symbols far beyond we've ever done before, and then with the internet, even more so. Symbols become very important, but then people forget that symbols are just stand-ins for the real thing. And I think there's a French philosopher who talks about this, and I don't know who it is. But now that we're working from two different ideas, we have one group of people who understands that gender is just an expression, and they want to explore that expression. And good on them, right? That's what freedom is about. I love that. That's great. Fantastic. But then we have this other group of people who have reified and ossified their idea of gender. And they think you cannot express gender any other way except their way. And if you try, they will react violently to reassert control. That's where we're at. That's what happened in the and then we have media pumping out the hate, saying, yes, you brainwash people, you're correct that you should reify your idea, and everyone else who expresses your idea differently must be destroyed. Oh man, and that causes all sorts of problems. All sorts of problems. Yo, so let me tell you a little heads up here, right? I think this might be the last time I do Sunday mornings here, because Sunday mornings I don't get any interaction here, and what I end up doing anyways is going on YouTube to upload it, and it never looks as good. But check this out. I found out that NVIDIA, like I guess I don't know how long ago, or YouTube, I don't know how long ago, allowed a new kind of video codecs called H.N265, which is an upgrade to N264. Twitch only uses N264, but YouTube will use H.265, and H.265 looks really, really, really good. I don't know if this will look good or bad. I have to check it out. But like, since no one watches my show on Sunday mornings, I might just stream over there using the new codecs, and then only use Twitch when I want to do play sessions like this, where I'm just digging mindlessly and like I'm establishing a new world. It takes a while. So yeah, I got very disheartened when I saw the right wing take the movie The Matrix and get the exact opposite idea out of it. The right wing got the exact opposite idea. But they're Nazis, so of course they would. Of course they'll get the wrong idea. That's their whole point. They're not actually in the truth, they're just in the power. And they recognized that the movie The Matrix had a lot of power to it. It spoke to a truth. So they wanted to corrupt it. Oh, hey, slime chunk here. That's good. Now I can make slime, or I gotta get more iron, but I can make pistons. Sticky pistons. Need that cobblestone. Well, I went that way and didn't find anything. Gravel! All right. Well, I talked the hell out of yeah, so it just makes me sad to see a bunch of Nazis attack people who are the most vulnerable people. They're already marginalized, and you attack them, making it harder for them to express the beauty of human sexuality and human gender. Like you're just wrecking it, Nazis. You make it worse. I mean, I know that's your goal. Your goal is to make it harder for them to express themselves. So, I mean, we just have to work harder to make it a safer place. Like now, I think we really should be proactive in teaching children about the different spectrums of human sexuality. Like we should forcefully do the opposite and be proactive and be like, yeah, let's teach people about gay and transgender and bisexuality and all sorts of other genders and two-spirit people and everything else. I mean, that's Native American, dude. That's American. It's Native American. Two-spirit people is Native American. You cannot get more American than that. Who are these Nazis coming by trying to disrespect Native American culture? Native American culture says there are two-spirit people. Two-spirit people are a gender that's not of your binary gender system, invader. Get the hell out of here with your nonsense. Like, you can't get more American than that. 2 genders. It's Native American, dudes. Native American. Like, get out of here. You're just like, seriously, it's just an expression of patriarchy. And patriarchy is only violence. 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 That's what patriarchy is. Violence. Coal! Sweet coal. That's a funny gift for a Minecrafter, to give him a block of coal. I love coal. In Minecraft, in real life, coal is bad. You gotta get off that stuff. You need to be using other stuff, not coal. I'm telling you guys, it's all about nuclear power. Oil is messing up everything. It empowers dictators. It wrecks our environment. I was reading a story about how walruses are congregating on land, where they're not supposed to be. Walruses don't live on land; they live on the ice in the Arctic. But big problem, dudes. There's a global warming that's heating up the Earth so much that there's no more ice out on the ocean. And the reason why they lived out on the ice in the ocean is because down below the ice there are colonies and colonies of mollusks that live there, and that's what they eat. They eat that's where their food is, out in the middle of the ocean. And it was no problem for them because they just lived on the ice. That was always there. Well, global warming happens, now there's no more ice for them. So they have to swim miles and miles and miles and miles to get to land to rest. And then if they get hungry, they have to swim miles and miles and miles and miles through open ocean to finally get to where the food is and finally eat. And then they can't rest because there's no ice there anymore. So they have to swim miles and miles and miles and miles back. And that's exhausting. And then plus, where does all the other walruses go? To the same beach. So rocky ass place. So the rocky ass place is full of piss and shit from tons and tons and tons of walruses that have to go to the closest beach because that's the closest thing to where all the food is. So all of them go there. So it's awful, right? They're not supposed to be like that. They're not supposed to be that close together, but they are, and it's horrible. Horrible conditions for them. Horrible conditions for their babies. There's a bunch of fucking grizzly bears walking around because they're not hibernating because it's too fucking hot. Oh my God. Like, oil is fucking up everything. We got to get off the oil. And I think the best way to do it is with nuclear power. Like, we were going to do it, and I don't know what happened. We did it the wrong way, and everyone freaked out about it. But if we do it right, it's awesome. And we wouldn't be in our situation. The United States didn't go through with it because it had all the power already with its oil. Look at it right now. The United States is #1 oil producer in the world. It's making bank because no one got off of oil. Europe is screwed, is fucked right now. Why? Because they thought they could get cheap oil from Russia. They thought, no problem, we can get Russia to be a good guy by buying oil from them. You dumbasses. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm gonna turn my drug dealer into a good guy by buying drugs from him. Yeah, my heroin dealer will stop being a pimp if I keep buying drugs from him. Yeah, the pimp I go to will treat his girls better if I keep using the services of his exploited women. No, come on, guy, that's stupid. What a dumb idea. What a stupid idea. That's a foolish idea. It's okay to call ideas stupid because they're just ideas. They're not actually there. They're just like genders, not actually there. Go ahead and call a gender stupid. Stupid gender! You're dumb, gender! What does that even mean? Yeah, we gotta get off of oil. We gotta switch. We gotta get off of oil. And we got to realize that guns are the thing that are killing us. In the United States, we have more gun murders than like any other country. Like, what's up with that? What's up with that? We have, like, I know what's up with that. We have more guns than any other country. Again, look at all these other countries. There's two things. We have more guns and we have weak ass gun laws. Like, our gun laws are a patchwork. We don't have one gun law. We have 50 different gun laws. 50 different countries with 50 different sets of gun laws. That's why we're all messed up. We're 50 different countries with 50 different gun laws. If we could be one country with one set of gun laws, that would go a long way to fixing things. Look at this, dude. Look at this. This is outrageous. We are 50 different countries. We are 50 different countries with 50 different sets of gun laws. And what do we find? What do we find, Mr. Laboratory of Democracy? What have we found? We have found states with really, really stringent gun laws have really, really low rates of gun violence. Generally speaking, it's not perfect correlation, but in general, yeah. There's other factors that tie into it, like historic racism, systemic racism, and all sorts of other stuff, and poverty. But yeah, for the most part, the more guns, the more gun deaths you have. The weaker your gun laws, the more gun deaths you have. Here, I don't even here. Let me look that up again. I can find it quick because it's so open. Guns per capita. Where's guns per capita? Countries and territories with the highest numbers of civilian firearms per 100 residents. So, the United States is by far the world leader in number of guns. Then you have a war zone called Yemen. In a war zone, in a country that's under like civil war for the past like decade, yeah, they have less firearms than the United States. Why would the United States need so many firearms? What kind of ideology requires violence on that scale? White supremacy and patriarchy. Look at these countries, dude. Nowhere else do they have as many guns as we do. That's why we have so many dead people from guns, because we have so many goddamn guns. Guns per 100 people, the United States is way out there, and then gun deaths per 100,000 people. It's the number of guns. We have way more guns than people, and that means we have way more gun deaths. And the trend shows that more guns tends to mean more guns deaths. That's just the way it goes, dudes. I can't change nature. That's the way it goes. That's the way it is. Here's that same map. Here's gun ownership versus gun deaths. The more guns, the more gun deaths you tend to have. That's just the way it goes. So if you want to stop violence, you need to address guns. And the reason why you can't address guns is because guns are tied to white supremacy and patriarchy. That's the issue in the United States. Remember, we're still fighting a civil war that was never resolved. Instead of it resolving, the Confederacy assassinated Lincoln, and then when Andrew Johnson took power, he allowed all the Confederates back into power, which stopped the Union from finishing Reconstruction and dismantling the white Confederacy power structure. Like, I'm rehashing real quick, like, everything that's wrong with our country. And it comes down to white supremacy. When we had a gun ban, we had, like, that's the number of mass shootings. But when that gun ban expired, all of a sudden it exploded. And really, look at that spasm of violence. When was that? Is that when Barack Obama took power? And the white supremacists went crazy? look at what guns do, right? Guns are the number one tool for suicide. Most gun deaths in the United States is suicide. But why? Because guns are so great at killing people. You can, if someone tries to kill themselves with cutting, they're not gonna die, or likely not gonna die. If someone tries to poison themselves, they're not gonna die. Why are they doing this? It's because they don't really want to die. It's a call for help. They want to live, but they need help. A firearm, when they try to kill themselves with a firearm, they don't really want to die. It's a cry for help. But they're not going to get that chance because they're going to die. It's better if people didn't have access to firearms. The more firearms they're available, the more firearm deaths you're going to have. I can't get around it. I can't tell you, what am I going to do? What else can I tell you to understand it? The reason why we aren't changing is because of white supremacy and patriarchy. That's why we haven't changed it. To change gun violence, you need to defeat white supremacy and patriarchy. How long? For an hour. Okay, so I got my one thing left, and then I'll let you go. Story came out. Like yesterday, 2 days ago. If you cover a cylinder with a magnetic coil, it triples the energy output in nuclear fusion tests. Magnets, how do they work? So, turns out, all right, so they're trying to shoot, what they're trying to do is they're shooting this laser, right? They're shooting lasers at this pellet. This is a pellet. Like, there's different ways they're trying to do fusion reaction. And one way is they're getting a pellet, they put a pellet, and they shoot the pellet with lasers until it gets so hot that the pellet like collapses and starts fusing together. And they've done it, it works. They've done it, it's just that they can't keep it going. It costs more to get it going than it does to get out. But they found out that if they wrap the whole thing in magnets, it keeps everything contained better. So they're taking but that's basically what the tomahawk does, dude. The tomahawk does the same thing. All they're doing is containing plasma with magnets. So they found out that, oh, look, the tomahawk idea works really good with our laser idea too. So they combined it. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's cool. So we're one step closer to fusion. Like I told you, energy is the big problem with life and everything else. If we can solve the energy problem, we will solve lots of other problems. But we have to solve our consciousness problem too. Because if we don't, then we're going to kill each other. And the problem is a lot of people, a lot of white supremacists have reified their idea, and they act upon that reification. They're literally trapped in the matrix. They literally can't distinguish between the symbol and the real object, the real thing. They can't distinguish between it. So they're easily manipulated because they mistake the symbol for the real thing. I hope I've explained it well enough, and I hope this whole thing turns out pretty well. All right, America. Until next time, Pogo Kiddo out. Peace. Stop.